Good morning and welcome back. I am here to address everything you need to know, and perhaps even some factors you might not consider so important as we explore the situation surrounding Micah Parsons' contract with the local team. We will examine statements made by the Jones family, especially by Jerry, who may have complicated the situation recently. We will also discuss Micah's comments, the current status of the contract negotiations, the role of the agent, and what we can expect as the preseason training approaches. If you know someone who is confused about Micah Parsons' contract situation, don't worry. We have all the necessary information. Let's begin with the latest developments, specifically what happened yesterday. A report suggested that Micah Parsons and Jerry had reached an understanding, but without the agent's presence, indicating that there was no real consensus. During the NFL owners' meeting, Jerry Jones stated, "Well, we're mostly aligned on the years and terms, but some details still need to be resolved." However, the situation changed from there, with Jerry making critical comments about the agent, something he insisted was not a personal attack. Micah, in turn, expressed his support for the agent, something he had already done publicly on his social media. So, we're back at square one. Currently, there is no agreement in place because, as it has become clear, a consensus cannot exist without the agent's involvement. That is the essence of negotiations. And honestly, most of the public information released yesterday, aside from Jerry's comments about the agent, wasn't particularly new. This has been unfolding behind the scenes for over 2 weeks, with both Jones fully aware of the situation. It is impossible to formalize an agreement without the agent's presence in the discussions. This is the natural way negotiations work, and indeed, much of what was publicly shared yesterday, except for the remarks about the agent, didn't bring anything new. This situation has been evolving in the background for over 14 days, and both Jones have already acknowledged meeting with Micah Parsons without the agent present. One of these meetings occurred on March 18th, where proposals were discussed. I have been instructed not to share certain details for reasons that will become clear soon. The team usually seeks agreements with a 5-year duration, and Micah is open to this type of arrangement, which justifies the $200 million figure that was mentioned. The lengthy negotiations, initially reported by a local source, led many to believe that an agreement was near. Micah's brother even suggested that they were close to an understanding, but a crucial point emerged: the absence of the agent. When the agent is out of the process, it becomes clear that an agreement is not actually in sight. That's why several journalists indicated that the team wasn't making progress toward an agreement. As mentioned, this situation is complicated. One party may feel optimistic while others may not share the same view. There are many layers to this, involving not only Micah and Jerry, but also Stephen and the agent, who met with several people involved in the case. Therefore, we are in a similar position as before. Jerry and Micah may be confident about progress, but not everyone shares this optimism, suggesting that an agreement is not imminent. What is your confidence level regarding the conclusion of Micah Parsons' contract? Give your rating from 1 to 10 in today's conversation comment section. Personally, I remain optimistic, as all parties involved are interested in reaching a consensus, though it seems they are not acting with much urgency, which I find frustrating, as many of you probably do as well. These types of contracts can become complex and full of complications. There is always something going on with the team. As we will discuss, the responsibility for the current status of the negotiations is shared among different parties, but it seems that Jerry Jones has taken a proactive stance. People expect progress, but there seems to be a lack of urgency, which frustrates many. It is understandable that these types of agreements can become complicated and often filled with controversies. The team is always facing unexpected situations, and, as we'll analyze, responsibility may fall on various agents. However, I believe the situation has been exacerbated by comments made recently. This was a moment when restraint in statements would have been appropriate. Criticisms were directed at the agent of an athlete who is well known in the field and responsible for a significant number of negotiations last year. It was said that the agent was not a concern and that his name was not even known. What is intended here is not to belittle the agent. In fact, it is essential to highlight that anyone can establish a direct connection with a player, and most will opt for this approach, often indicating that this method is preferred. Here lies the issue. One cannot claim ignorance of the agent and act as if this does not matter. This is akin to saying no offense before making a statement that could be displeasing. It remains problematic regardless. Clearly, there was knowledge of his identity, or at least an awareness that there were more serious issues to consider. Prior interactions have already occurred concerning other athletes with the same agent. Honestly, I consider this a failure, an oversight in contract negotiations. We may not agree, and it's completely acceptable to feel dissatisfied with the agent. That is part of their job. The agent, in fact, is present as per league rules when the player requests their help, which is exactly what happened. The player directed communication to the agent, but so far, no interaction has taken place. It's important to mention that Micah reaffirmed his support for the agent, stating that he will not move forward with any agreement without his collaboration. It makes sense to rely on specialized professionals for such situations, and when it comes to contract negotiations, trusting in such experts is essential. There will be no hidden agendas in this negotiation process. Initially, it seemed that this was prepared by the agent, which is acceptable, and it is correct to say that this decision is strategic to ensure the best possible outcome. Regarding contract negotiations, no one is more reliable. This approach has been considered acceptable, and selecting an agent aims to ensure the maximum financial advantage. This is the standard practice. We may not like it, but this is the usual procedure. Additionally, it can be argued that there were undisclosed elements in the contract negotiations, though this is not new information. This was shared after a period of intense pressure. It may be that the agent wasn't aware of a parallel meeting, which could have been an attempt to maintain good relations. Comments are made about the lack of integrity of some representatives and how certain players might be negatively affected as a result. This scenario arose after the player's request for communication with his agent about the terms, something that only came to light after the information was released. What causes frustration is that this is not a difficult contract to finalize. It may be costly, and that is acknowledged, but it is meant to be a record-setting agreement. The figure is well known. The highest-paid athlete who does not play quarterback has an impressive annual salary. The previous day was undoubtedly challenging for the team, given the ongoing tension between teams and representatives. The representative's goal is to negotiate the highest salary for the player, while the team aims to minimize expenses. There exists a middle ground that could be fairly negotiated for all parties involved, but negotiations can lead to either success or failure. The Cowboys have a tendency to attempt to bypass representatives, a strategy they have employed on multiple occasions in the past. They previously sought this approach with a particular player who firmly declined, and another player was also not deceived. There was a proposal to collaborate with another player who accepted a favorable agreement for the team. However, it seems there remains a lingering focus on past negotiations with that player. When a player asserts that all communication should be conducted through their representative, it follows a protocol outlined in the collective bargaining agreement. The overarching impact of this approach can often lead to complications, resulting in a disgruntled representative. This situation could result in the loss of several players who share the same representative and may develop negative sentiments toward the team. It is crucial to acknowledge that while the representative's unwillingness to cooperate is not entirely the team's responsibility, it can still result in a considerable loss of players in one offseason over negotiations that could have been handled differently. There might have been one or two departures ultimately, but it raises the question of whether an adversarial stance is necessary. Why create unnecessary discord instead of fostering a cooperative relationship with those involved? This aspect is what can be particularly frustrating and disheartening. As we delve into today's discussion, it is pertinent to note that the realm of daily fantasy sports has significantly broadened, providing an exciting platform for fan engagement. With a large membership base and substantial prizes awarded, this platform has opened the world of daily fantasy sports to a wider audience, promoting greater interaction with various options. With the baseball season underway, this is an opportune moment to incorporate favorite players into fantasy lineups and assess a range of football prospects for the forthcoming season. Insights into various player performances will be shared. Spring has arrived, and the baseball season is officially underway in regions like California, Texas, and Georgia. This is the perfect time to include your favorite players in tactics, or even consider strategies for the long football season ahead. I have some pertinent observations about several athletes, including a quarterback whose passing yards may be below expectations, and a tight end facing injury issues. There's also another player who might not run as much, which makes me more cautious about these statistics. For those who want to dive deeper, there are specific platforms offering the option to use a code for an immediate bonus after the first formation. Currently, it seems the team is evaluating an athlete's leadership abilities before committing to a substantial contract. This is a critical factor that may explain the apparent lack of urgency in finalizing the deal. According to one executive, this player needs to embody the profile of the athlete seeking to be valued. He has the necessary skills and mentality, but for financial negotiations to progress, he must take charge. His ability to lead needs to be clear. If he does not show full engagement, this becomes evident. This athlete appears committed to standing out, which is predictable given the upcoming off-season activities. The team seems to be testing his abilities, signaling that he needs to step up and lead, even without a contract, something I consider a bit disproportionate. The question remains, will there be participation in off-season training starting on April 7th and in team-organized activities in May? It's worth sharing opinions on this matter. This situation raises a concern about the approach being taken. There are frequent assertions of no urgency. While it's true that negotiations require collaboration from both parties, the repeated claims of a lack of urgency raise questions about the commitment involved. The point that keeps being mentioned is that there's no rush, and while it is correct that both parties need to agree for a deal to happen, the frequent statements of no urgency suggest that hesitation in starting progress occurs on one side, which is frustrating. This perspective suggests that there's no sense of urgency, using the argument that the sooner something is done, the cheaper it tends to be. Often, there's resistance in making the deal affordable. Perhaps there's a desire to see more moves, like leaves falling, not just in that type of negotiation, but in relation to the whole team. It might seem a bit defensive, but the idea that the only success lies in quickly finishing a deal is misleading. It would be wiser to invest a bit more and get it right than to spend less and risk making mistakes. Failures can happen. There may be misjudgments about athletic ability or future availability. Are there concerns about athletic performance? Are there fears about health? If certain things are working well for others, how does that relate to this situation? What is causing the slowdown? Is there a desire to see demonstrations of leadership? This seems a bit odd, but it may be acceptable. The market won't decrease, so although it makes sense to want to ensure the accuracy of the deal, what is being awaited? The reality is that there is already a general understanding of what the agreement entails. So, what justifies the delay, especially with off-season training approaching? If there is already a consensus to make this player the highest-paid non-quarterback in history, what else is being waited on? What will happen is just an increase in costs, which represents a logical problem that is really hard to understand. This discussion is already quite lengthy, but more content will be available daily, with further insights emerging later. As this unfolds, the question remains, who is responsible? This deal should have been finalized by now. It shouldn't be this complicated. So, who's behind this? The program is extensive, but new content is coming daily, and another will be available later this afternoon. Now, let's explore this issue. Who is responsible? This deal should have been concluded already. It's not that complicated. So, who takes responsibility? When there's a request to contact the agent and no communication occurs while he remains silent, the answer involves all sides. If there's a genuine interest in finalizing this deal, contacting the agent would be simple. Likewise, if there truly is the intent to reach a conclusion, it would be easy to get in touch with the team. Someone needs to break this deadlock. If there's a real desire to close the deal, it's possible to change agents or simply instruct the current one to resolve the situation. In the end, the responsibility is collective, it cannot be solely attributed to one person, nor is it entirely free from any other. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The NFL offseason is always full of surprises, but few rumors have sparked as much excitement as the possibility of Justin Herbert joining the Dallas Cowboys. With speculation swirling, fans and analysts alike are left wondering, could one of the league's most talented quarterbacks actually leave Los Angeles for America's team? While nothing is set in stone, the mere thought of Herbert in a Cowboys jersey has ignited a firestorm of debate and anticipation. Herbert, a proven franchise quarterback, has consistently demonstrated elite play since being drafted by the Chargers in 2020. From setting rookie records to securing a massive contract extension, the Oregon product has established himself as one of the top signal callers in the league. However, despite his individual brilliance, the Chargers have struggled to achieve sustained postseason success. This has led some to question whether a fresh start in Dallas could be the key to unlocking Herbert's full potential. For the Cowboys, acquiring Herbert would represent a seismic shift in their offensive strategy. Dak Prescott, while a solid leader, has faced criticism for his playoff performances, and speculation about his long-term future in Dallas continues to grow. If Jerry Jones were to orchestrate a blockbuster move for Herbert, it would send shockwaves through the league and signal a win-now mentality for the storied franchise. With a dynamic receiving core, a stout offensive line, and a defense capable of dominating, Dallas might just be the perfect landing spot for a quarterback of Herbert's caliber. Of course, making this move would not be without its challenges. Herbert's contract is one of the richest in NFL history, and any trade would require significant draft capital and financial maneuvering. The Chargers would have to be willing to part with their franchise cornerstone, a scenario that seems unlikely unless a complete rebuild is on the horizon. Nevertheless, in a league where unexpected trades happen every year, nothing can ever be ruled out entirely. Whether this rumor has legs or is merely off-season speculation, one thing is certain. The idea of Justin Herbert leading the Dallas Cowboys is electrifying. If the Cowboys truly believe they are one elite quarterback away from Super Bowl contention, then this might just be the move that reshapes the NFL landscape. For now, fans can only watch and wait as the drama unfolds. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.